Welcome to this edition of Supporting Speakers Live. I'm Terilee Harrison, and I am passionate about helping speakers get their message out to the world. And today I am joined by someone that is an amazing friend and network colleague of mine who I know has great resources for speakers. I want you all to meet Hugh Ballou. Hi, Hugh. Welcome.
Hey, Terilee. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I would love to introduce you all to Hugh a little bit more formally. You're going to be mighty impressed. Hugh Ballou has been a leadership strategist and coach for 35 years, working with authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, and nonprofit leaders and corporate executives on 4 continents. He's helping them build strategies for sustainable recurring revenue and skills to empower teams and grow sources of income. Speaking and writing books does not build a robust business. Oh my gosh, true. Those, however, are great ways of creating influence to attract ideal clients. Oh my gosh, that was a word there. Hugh, that's awesome. It's true.
It is. And I'm a fan of attraction marketing. We establish as a speaker a position of influence. Who am I? And I went on stage in 2007 speaking in front of an audience of 500-600 people. First time I had to turn around and face the audience because I'd spent 40 years as a conductor with my back to the audience. And so it was a new gig for me.
Hugh has a wide range of talents and gifts, and being a conductor is one of them. I'm glad you mentioned it. So for our speakers today, he's going to be sharing 3 business resources for speakers to create a robust business. So I think with that word you threw down in your intro about the truth is that these books and speaking by themselves don't create a robust business. Let's talk about strategy. How does strategy help build a robust business?
Well, when you build a strategy, I work with entrepreneurs, I work with clergy, I work with nonprofit leaders, corporate leaders, and I'm surprised at how few people have a roadmap to get to where they want to be. They maybe have an idea of where they want to be, revenue-wise, influence-wise, program-wise, but they don't have a pathway, and they don't understand that you can have lots of tactics, and that so many tactics can interfere with each other. So beginning with the strategy, where do you want to be? And then go backwards from there, creating the steps to get there. That way, other people, we usually have teams, formal teams, informal teams, colleagues, there's collaborations, affiliations. We have a network that we create, but it's around our position of influence. In a strategy, we call that our unique value proposition. So when I went on stage, I turned around as a conductor. I went on stage wearing my tails. So I walk out and people go, whoa, because nobody else was wearing tails. I was at a business growth conference, and I started the first minute and a half of my speech. I said nothing. And I asked them to respond without saying words. And then I said, you didn't have any doubt what to do. I led a session just recently, and people knew exactly what to do. Like a conductor influences people. So we influence people. So I told them, conductors, you don't know what a conductor knows about leadership until you get in front of them. We do know because we build high performance teams, but our position of influence, my position of influence is to take what I knew, building high performance teams that respond to every nuance of the conductor, and I established that. And some people, they may not know my name, but I want that guy that wears the tails. He's the conductor guy. So thousands of speakers, it really all of a sudden differentiated me. And then by that time, I have 12 books now, and I have 10 online courses. I had intellectual property. So I could speak for free and make more money than a high-paid gig. So we want to have a follow-on for people. If you want to have an influence, you've got something else to generate revenue with. We step on stage and we impact people's lives because of who we are and how we've influenced them.
Oh, this is so good. I talk a lot about the business of speaking, and this is what this is creating creating offerings to help people. We can serve people in the moment on stage speaking or online speaking, Hugh, but we can't help them in a more permanent way if there's no other way for them to work with us. Yes.
Absolutely. And the differentiator, people who are successful, if you have a strategy, you have a business. If you don't have a strategy, it's a hobby. It's a want to be. If you haven't taken your goals and written them down and committed to that, you don't really have a business. And you need, if you got one stream of income, like speaking, it's 100% chance you'll go broke because it's up and down. And there's a lot of competition. We need to stand out from the crowd, and we need to have multiple streams of revenue. For instance, I work with nonprofit leaders, and I teach them there's a minimum. I mean, there's accessible 8 streams of revenue. That's the standard. We can add a couple more, but there's 8 different streams. Now, in the business, we can do more. We have fewer rules, but we must have multiple streams of income. So speaking is just the tip of the iceberg. It's all the other streams that are going to feed you and let you pay your mortgage and then go above that and be successful.
This is so good. And it's just true. I am talking to people today who have like not given a speech yet. And like, this is just such valuable information just on the truth. Like we can get excited about being on stage and excited about selling our story, but what else is behind it, right? And we can want to have the impact, but what about the income? Because we still got to eat. Yes.
Yeah, and you can make a lot of money in a keynote, but that's it. It goes away. How do you create recurring revenue?
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So I would love to hear what the conductor guy says about the resource number 2, and that's growing your skills to lead.
So I've hired orchestras, union musicians. They've been part of a major orchestra in the cities where I worked as a music conductor in a mega church. And so I'd have a really well-prepared choir. Then I would hire the orchestra because I wanted the best orchestra. So I'd go to the orchestra, and you got a window. You got 2 hours. You booked a gig. They're either going to pay overtime or they're going to leave. So we have to build our skills. Now, conductors are perceived by those who are not conductors as a dictator. I got to tell you, if you got a little white stick and you're in front of a bunch of union musicians that are going to challenge you, it's called a baton. And this baton is what we use to have clarity. But you can't make anybody do anything with this little white stick. It's very lightweight. But you can influence people. And the saying is, if the orchestra respects the conductor, they play as the conductor intends, not exactly, because you can't really do all those subtle things. You can hit at it, but they will do as you move your hands instead of as you intend. So if you're leading a nonprofit board, you're leading a corporate board, you have a staff or you have collaborators, or you're at a small business and you have an informal team. The team is a reflection of your ability. If you want them to function at a high level, it's important for you to have the skill to know. So my 4 principles, and the conductor, you step on the podium, you got the score, you have to know the score. So the foundation for a leader is know where you're going, know how to articulate that and convince other people. Relationships, I hire the best. You want to surround yourself with the very best people. So you got the mission, what you're going to do. You got the very best people. And the third one is a system. The very best musical ensembles rehearse for every performance. We don't rehearse our meetings. We don't rehearse our culture. We just do it, and we repeat the mistakes. So it's like we have bad meetings and we expect good results. If I have a bad rehearsal, I'm not going to have a good concert. So you have good people, you have worthy work, and then you put them in a system where they can't function. The leader creates the system. So I teach leaders, build your strategy, build your skills, and create the system so that when you're not there, things are happening, or things are happening multiplying your efforts. And the fourth one, rests in music or punctuations. It's not the absence of sound. So we must punctuate our work with the balance. We can't work all the time. I have people that brag about how much they work and they never take time off. That's the recipe for burnout. So that one, the balance makes the foundations, the relationships, and the systems work at their best.
So many nuggets in that, growing your skills to lead. Oh my gosh. Balance is something that I've had to learn and embrace, and it is the best. It is the best. It is the best. Yeah. Imagine that rest could feed into everything you're doing, but it does, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And, the grand mass by Beethoven, Mrs. Solemnis, you got all this fast, loud, difficult music, and then boom, there's this grand pause, and this violin on an overtone comes in, and it's just eerie, but it descends out of heaven. It's a profound moment. And I was at a Dave Matthews, other kind of music, Dave Matthews band concert in the town where I lived in Blacksburg, Virginia. And they were in the stadium. So there's 60,000 people there, and this loud music, and all of a sudden, whack, silence. All of a sudden, boom. That was a profound moment that set up the next thing to happen. So our downtimes to think, to evaluate, just to really plan, it can't work all the time. So you need those times to generate the energy for when you do work. And that makes the work a lot more effective.
So good. So good. So our third business building resource is building an engaged, effective team. We don't have to have a huge team to have an engaged, effective team, right?
If you're talking to one person, you got a team.
Yeah.
And we don't think we have teams. Oh, I'm not ready for a team yet. Well, wait a minute. You're talking to a consultant, you're talking to a marketing person, you're talking to somebody else. You've got a team. And if you don't have the ability to find the results, we set up problems because we say, do this. Like I hire a marketing person, I don't define the specific results I want. And then I don't allow them to create a plan that I approve, and that I don't touch base every week to see how it's going. So we delegate, which is a skill that we don't have. We have to learn. We delegate and we assume it's a complex word you can break down. We assume it's going to happen without clearly defining the results we want, and let that person define the steps, because guess what? They're going to get there in a different way. Doesn't matter how they get there. It matters if they do arrive at the specific objective you've defined. So we set up conflict by not defining those systems. We pay people money and they don't perform as we expect. It's our fault. So define what you want, let them tell you you're going to get there, and then you approve that. And then you have those touch points. You now have something to do course corrections along the way, because you don't want them to fail. You want to be able to add energy to it, do course corrections, because it's a win-win. If they create what you need, that's the revenue you need. It's the people at your event, whatever it is, the speaking engagements. So be very clear about what your value is, and they can then market it if it's a marketing person. So you build a team around specific objectives, and different team members, we need to define their role and responsibility. And we need to talk about how we're going to work together. Building consensus is something people don't understand. So I have a book on building high performance teams. There's many ways that we can lead a team authentic to us, but the fundamental piece is be very clear on the objectives, be very clear on each role and responsibility, and being clear that you're not going to micromanage them. If you want it done the way you do it, you might as well do it yourself. And that limits our effectiveness. Now, I'm a business owner. I can do everything, but I don't need to do everything, because it takes me away from the things that only I can do. So we want to define what only we can do, build a team, and be clear on the communication. Sometimes we isolate ourselves because we don't let people have open dialogue about how to fix things. We need to hear from them. So the covenant is two ways. They pledge to do things, and I pledge to support them. So being open-minded and being willing to be in dialogue about possibilities and course corrections. We make our best plans. So the team is a reflection of the leader. We empower them. We encourage them. We give them resources. We give them hallelujahs. We make the course corrections in a very gentle, specific way. So when I stop the rehearsal and I say trumpets, that's too loud, they're not insulted. They would expect me to do that because I'm up front and I'm the one that can hear the balance. So and I didn't say you're a bad person. I said it's too loud. And, they're playing a loud instrument. Come on. So I make the course corrections. If it's personal, I would pull them aside, but you make the course corrections and then you try it again and you make it work. So that's what the leader does. I don't play the instruments. I've got a trumpet player and I use my baton and they do it. So we leaders lead, teams want to respond. Let's give them good cues so they can play their instrument or do their role responsibility as we intend.
Bravo, bravo. That's so chock full of beautiful information about being a team leader and working with a team. And a speaker might sit and think, oh my gosh, I don't have a team. What would I have a team for? But, even if you have a team that's your virtual assistant that helps you with some of your tech stuff, right? You have a team, and we want to honor that team member and work as efficiently as possible.
And, it's the same guidelines whether you're leading a multinational corporation or you're leading a local nonprofit charity. We're reluctant. Well, they're a volunteer. I don't need to correct them. No. If you help them raise the bar on their performance, you're going to be happy and they're going to be happy.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're setting up a pathway for failure.
Yes.
And we don't need to be mean. It's just helping people perform at a higher level. And, it's the same rules in a nonprofit, but it's a lot more complex. It's already hard, but we make it harder. So we're in a business. It's a for-profit business, generate revenue. In a nonprofit, it's a for-purpose business. We got to generate revenue, but it's a different focus. It's impacting people's lives, which, if you think about it, in a business, we're impacting people's lives and we get money because we deliver value. Duh.
So good. Just really good. So I've been blessed for our listeners to have had Hugh in my life for the last several years, and I count him as very special in my life. He has an amazing global network and he serves so many leaders worldwide. If you would like to connect with him, there's a couple ways. So Hugh, I'm going to put in the comments. I know that you have a gift, you have a report that you would like to share. So I'm going to put that in the comments. Do you want to tell them about this free report?
It's a summary with some details of what I just talked about. Self-sustainability. How do you create recurring revenue in any kind of enterprise? In a nonprofit, we get a donation, we go, hallelujah. Well, there's we need more. So how do you create the recurring pathway? And in business, we must have multiple streams of revenue. So the self-sufficiency report, there's a page and you opt in and you get to download it. Now, you'll be in my email list. If you don't want to be in the list, you can unsubscribe. But I do send out special things, a couple of times a month that will be of value. If Jim Rohn, the speaker, used to say, work on yourself harder than you work on your business. Now, we're a speaker. We got to have a business underneath that. And the speaking is how we connect with people, how we influence people, how we attract. This is our attraction marketing. Be upfront. We give value, but you know what? We probably have a lot more value we can give people with our expertise. So this report gives you the information you need to start thinking about going forward.
And then I can't wait to read it myself. And then I have another way for you all to stay in touch with Hugh, and that would be at abouthugh.com. What will they find there?
Abouthugh.com, there's a Forbes article about the conductor in leadership. There's a 31 days to becoming a better leader. There's things you don't think about in leadership. There's a link for that. There's multiple links. And if you want to schedule a time to go over what you think your business is and get some feedback from me for free, there's a link there. You can schedule a time to talk to me. That's a whole lot better than email that gets lost in the other alternate universe. So on that is About Hugh.
Amazing.
You can connect with me and you get a lot more free. That's all free stuff.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Speaking of free, everybody, I would love to invite you, if you're not part of our Facebook group yet. We have our amazing Supporting Speakers Everywhere Facebook group. It's free, and it's a community of speakers from around the world where we come to support each other and network and collaborate. And if you are not part of it yet, I would love to invite you to be part. Well, Hugh, I thank you for being on Supporting Speakers Live today. What amazing information you shared. I can't wait to get your report and read more, and a lot of truth there, my friend. So thank you to Hugh. Thank you to our listeners, and we will see you next time at Supporting Speakers Live.